I would like to now discuss vehicle construction terminology. Now, to ensure that everyone understands commands on the extrication scene, standard terminology should be used. So this is standard terminology at a vehicle incident. For example, you should not speak of left or right, but rather you should be saying driver side or passenger side. Don't go, it's to the left of you. Well, which way are you facing? Yeah? Passenger side or driver side. Let's go through some standard terms to describe vehicle terminology. Here are the basics. As you can see here, we've got top, middle and bottom of the car. That's the top, middle, bottom. Now, when the car's upside down, it's still the same. You still refer to it as top, middle, bottom. No, because it's flipped over, don't change the top. The top is still the top. This here is the bonnet. So there's the bonnet. These are your crumple zones. So that's the terminology for them, crumple zones. That's your side impact reinforcement. There. That terminology for that is your typically straightforward window frames. These are termed to be floorboards. This is your hatchback or your boot lid. That's a tricky one there. That's a tricky one. Roof. That's your roof. That's your front wheel arch. That is termed there to be a pillar post. We'll come on to A, B and C later. That's a pillar post. There are your hinges, that's where your door hinges are. That is termed the door sill or the rocker channel. This now, we're going into the pillar post now, that's the A post, that's the B post, and that's your C post. Finally, you've got a D post. Remember them, A, B, C, D posts. This area here, that area there is classified as the bulkhead or the firewall. That's got some fire resistance between the engine and the passenger compartment. That's your bulkhead or your firewall. There's your front wing. That is a summary of all the parts that you need to familiarise yourself with. So please ensure you are aware of them. You've got to make sure you know the terminology of what you're working on in that vehicle. Any misunderstandings could actually lead to accidents during the extrication process. And that covers this module on terminology. Now I want to talk about new car technology. Now, the massive developments in the area of vehicle safety construction have meant that both extrication techniques and equipment have had to change in order to keep up with the advances from the motor vehicle industry. You must remember that every extrication case is different, and therefore there's many different options available. There's not just one option, there's maybe a few ways of achieving the same goal. And some of the construction advances found in vehicles these days affects us more than others. But the distinct difference in the way vehicles are built now is well noted. Generally people know. This is just an indication here. That's the cross-section of a B-post in an old vehicle. And that is the cross-section of a B-post in a model 2002. As you can see, the reinforcement there, that's a lot stronger. This technology now, the building the cars a lot stronger than they used to do. But that's going to take more getting into with the cutters, etc. So as you can see clearly here, that's the old model, that's the new model. Much more reinforcement and must provide much more protection, but on the same point, it will be harder to get this. It must also be mentioned that the techniques I cover in this presentation has been performed with new technology in mind. So we have tried to base it on new technology. Now, not all tools have the same capability, so it's important that you choose the technique that is best suited to the capability of your rescue tool. And bear in mind that vehicle extrication holds certain risks. It must always be remembered that in all actions taken, the balance between safety and efficiency has to be found. Now, with experience, the process of risk identification and mitigation does become easier. If you look here, this is boron reinforcement located in the dashboard area. Now, this can have issues when you try and carry out a dashboard lift. It will be much more difficult in the newer car models than in the older ones. That's boron. This here shows you the side impact reinforcement bars that are fitted in modern vehicles. Now, this again can lead to difficulties in removing the doors when the vehicle is involved in any frontal collisions. Now, unlike understanding human anatomy, understanding the anatomy of safety improvements is a never-ending process. They are constantly developing new safety techniques, new cars, new techniques. Safety features vary widely from year to year in their design and placement among makes and models, so some makes and models have different safety precautions in them. For this reason, it's essential for rescuers to know how these safety improvements may affect their day-to-day rescue operations. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the various issues that you should be aware of using this diagram here. Now as you can see here, point 1, this is a reinforced wheel and engine deflection system that in the case of impact deflects the wheels and motor under the car away from the passenger cell. So that's what it does, it deflects it away from the motor, under the car, away from the passenger cell. Cutting in this area for a dashboard roll may be very difficult because it's very, very strong. Now as you can see here at point 2, these are crumple zones that absorb the energy of the impact, and these make it possible for occupants of the vehicle to survive collisions they would not have survived a few years ago. So that's point 2. Now this video is going to show you how the crumple zones work to make it safer for the occupants. This video is going to show you crumple zones in action.
Come on you, come on.
Well, Mummy says it's not me, Sharon. Mummy give me a bollocking for me.
Well, come on, step into the boxes up.
Now this picture I'm going to show you now shows you a partial front impact test. So that's the impact of a partial front impact test on one side. Now the use of crumple zones has dramatically increased the ability of vehicle occupants to survive massive impacts. Ironically, these crumple zones that increase survivability can complicate rescue efforts. So they're great for the crash, but they're bad for the rescuer due to the strength of the deformed metal structures. They're very hard to get into, so it's ironic that if you do survive it, we can't get you out. Now these pictures here show you the aftermath of a collision where the crumple zones have increased the survivability rate. Look at that car there. The occupants survived that by having these crumple zones. And that one there, look at that. That's the crumple zones crumpling up, it takes the impact out of it. Next, let's look at point 3 here. This point 3 here is the reinforced dashboard which was developed to protect the driver and passenger in case of a frontal or side impact. Now, conventional one-sided dash rolls now may be more difficult with these. Maybe more difficult. Reinforced dashboards. Here, point 4, you can see the micro-alloy and boron steel which are used for improved strength to weight ratio. Again, problem now, door removal will be more difficult if the side impact bars are driven into the frame by impact. So again, you can't get them. And this picture shows you them in operation.